I'm Jimmy Young, along with Jimmy Myers. Say hello, Jimmy.
I'm still here.
I know, you can say hello, Jimmy.
Hello, Jimmy. How are you?
Good, how are you, Jimmy?
It's wonderful to see you, Jimmy.
Nice to see you too, Jimmy.
No. You can say yeah all you want. No.
Why does that say that?
Objective. He's supposed to be objective.
He's a network president.
What network?
He's not a journalist. He's not a journalist. He's a businessman.
To me, ladies and gentlemen, it was wrong. He does not belong there. Now you can argue all you want.
No, I don't. We have to go back and forth. It's going to be an argument.
Go ahead.
That you almost become that person vicariously while you're writing it.
This is not going to be the stuff you're going to hear on your local radio station.
Jimmy, you're a legend, kid. I had the show.
He is totally a legend, and I'm so that he is not the only person that is saying you're suspended for this many games, you're suspended for that many games.
All I have to do is stay black and look good. That's all I got to do.
Brilliant minds.
It's still going to come down by the defense. And, you know, Tom Jackson.
We watch our Pats games here. I've watched Celtics NBA playoff games. I was here when the Bruins won the Cup. I was in this place when the Bruins won the Cup in 11. We had a great time.
This camera and wrap it up.
All right, well, that's going to do it for the Jimmy Sports Talk, live streaming on YouTube from the Knobscott Cafe in Framingham, Massachusetts. For Jimmy Young, Jimmy Myers, I'm Joe Berryman, and sorry to steal your line. That's what it is in sports.
Oh, I love it. Well done, Joe. Terrific job. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Knobscott Cafe in Framingham, Massachusetts. I'm Jimmy Young, along with...
Yes, I am Jimmy Myers. I remain Jimmy Myers, and I'm going to be Jimmy Myers for a long time. And it's time to go downtown and get this job done.
All right, we are downtown in Framingham. Jimmy, Happy New Year to you
Same
and
to
yours.
you.
Hope you had a good holiday season.
Yes, same to you.
And we are talking sports for the next 2 hours here at the Knobscott Cafe. Coming up at the top of the hour in about 30 minutes, Aaron Schatz from FootballOutsiders.com is also going to be joining us here on the set, and he has got some very interesting statistical analysis of the next 2 NFL football games, the AFC and NFC championship games that are coming up this Sunday.
That's what he does.
And I'm sure he'll come up with things that nobody has talked about before, because he looks at things a little bit differently.
My kind of person.
That's right.
Looking at things a little bit differently.
Yes. So one of the first, we've obviously been talking a lot about the National Football League. Good, you brought some notes.
Yeah, just a little bit.
This is Aaron Schatz from FootballOutsiders.com. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Happy New Year.
I'll be back in the playoffs, and
I held you to it. And speaking of integrity, has more integrity than Roger Goodell. Okay, I don't know how far you want to take.
Did Goodell agree to be on during the playoffs?
No, he did not. He wanted to be one of the people. He was busy. He was one of the people, man of the people.
He thought you might ask him about the going to the ground catch rule, and he was like, he didn't want to spend a half an hour explaining it. So
that's right. I got to ask you a question. As someone who looks at all the statistical analysis that you do, how do you factor in that the ridiculous arrogance of the National Football League, their rules, the referees? How do you do it? What here
Glad
is
he's
the
laughing.
category, by the way?
I feel good too now.
So
You're laughing too.
I don't think it's I don't think it's arrogance. I think what it is that they've made the rule book is difficult to understand, and I think it would be difficult to come up with a definition of a catch that did not lead to controversy at some times in some ways. The problem is the lack of consistency. Last week, there was a great catch in the playoff game between Indianapolis and Cincinnati. By Dante Moncrief in the back right corner of the end zone, where he came down and the ball kind of came out after he hit the pylon in the back right corner of the end zone. Same thing as that. So what's the difference, right? Why was Danny Amendola not a catch? And then the next day, there was a Randall Cobb play, virtually the same, that was a catch. The problem is that the rules are so hard to fully
grasp.
Yeah, that the same play could be seen. You have these guys like Mike Carey and Pereira who are working for the media now, and
they still work for the NFL. But go ahead.
But their interpretation is different than the refs on the field, which shows just how difficult interpreting this is.
The weird part about this. Aaron, slide over about 6 inches so I can get in the frame.
So just to finish, by the way, the way we handle this with stat analysis is we don't even look at it. We treat all the plays as if it's whatever's called is called.
Okay.
We don't ask
rule
figuring out what the rules are is different from statistical analysis. But it's something they need to work on.
You think?
Yes.
You think? How are you, though?
I'm good.
All right, so you enjoyed, and now can you put on both a fan hat? I know something, we talked about this the last time you were on. It's difficult when you grow up in an area, you have an attachment to a team, to try to be completely objective when that team is playing.
But it's not. I mean, I can be objective as an analyst and subjective as a fan. I will root for the Patriots, but there's no question that if they beat Indianapolis this week, they are underdogs, especially if they're playing Seattle.
No question.
I would not. They should not be favored against Seattle. I'm not going to say they're better than Seattle. They're not better than Seattle.
I'm just green. I'm just
right.
over
Okay.
here.
But I will root for them. I will root for my numbers to be wrong.
Okay, I get you. Interesting.
Okay.
And so going into the Final Four. AFC, NFC championship games, you know what I'm saying, the Final Four teams, the two championship weekends. Seattle is your number one team in the league right now?
Yes. But Seattle is the most likely team to win the Super Bowl. The Patriots are the most likely team to get to the Super Bowl.
Interesting.
Because the Packers are much better than the Colts over the course of this season.
Packers are better than the Colts, right.
Right.
Oh, yeah, no question. And how about the effect of Aaron Rodgers' calf muscle, which definitely impacted play and his play, and they still won the game, which is, again, perhaps they have a referee to help, certainly rules interpreter to thank for that as well.
Although I will point out, had that ball been caught, let's say Dallas goes in from the 1, you do have Aaron Rodgers, the best player in the league.
Right, with time.
Plenty of time to go down the field.
With plenty of time to go down the field.
And all he needs is a field goal, right?
Right.
Then all he needs is a field goal.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand.
But you could have got him in there. See, and that's why if you let it go, Aaron, it's okay. For one reason, because it's not going to impact the game where he can't drive down the field.
But no. Look, every play should be interpreted by the rules the way we think the rules are.
Okay.
Okay? The problem with that play, it's not, you don't let plays go or not go based on what the score of the game is.
Okay.
If you think the rule says that's not a catch,
okay,
then that's not a catch. But the problem is, one, I don't think there was enough visual evidence to overturn it.
And that's what I think again, we're trying to talk about, if you look at every single play frame to frame, which is what instant replay allows
I never see the ball hit the ground. I never saw the ball hit the ground on the video.
Yeah.
And two,
now where you going?
The rules themselves are difficult to. The rule themselves, people don't like that rule. People want that rule changed.
Yeah, I think so too.
But the way the rule is drawn up, other than the question of was there irrefutable visual evidence, if the ball does hit the ground and you think you can see that, you do have to overturn the catch.
Okay.
Right. Which
did you see it hit the ground?
No.
Which takes away.
I didn't either.
I know, which takes
so
away
there's
from the
two sets of
athleticism
eyes
of a great. This guy makes a great football
That was a phenomenal play.
And
That's
takes away from what I feel was a poor coaching decision to go for it all on a must-have 4th and 2 to move the chains.
All you got to do is move the chains.
Rather than move the chains.
And then go for it.
They did it earlier in the game on a 3rd and 1. You have one of the best running games in the league, the best offensive line in the league for run blocking. Plus, on 3rd and 1, they went deep, and that didn't work. And then they punted. They tried a field goal, which they shouldn't have done. And then on the 4th and 2, you've got your guys spread out. They had, I think, man-to-man coverage. They could have gone with little stick routes.
Yep.
They would have had all those guys open.
Every one of them would have been open. Yep.
But they decided they needed to go for the big.
Not only sticks, they could have did sticks, they could have did crosses.
They could have done slants, they could have done all kinds of short stuff.
And Jason Witten, you got 2 people on him because he's killing them down the middle. So, okay, we can isolate. We got 3 people over here, and they can't cover any one of them.
I would have tried short.
What about? Think about this. Remember the inside screen they ran earlier with Des Bryant?
I have a very bad memory for specific players.
Throws the flare screen, 2 blockers out in front. Boom, got 15, 20 yards. I said to myself, there's so many other plays that you can, like you said, it's one play. All we have to make is one, and we would have taken off more time off the clock, too.
We know, well, that's one where the refs screwed up, by the way. Refs were supposed to put 25 seconds back on the clock. Didn't. Okay. We know it is hard to get 4th and 2. Let's not pretend it's easy. Everyone around here knows that's difficult to get.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
But when you need 2, try to get 3, not 25.
Thank you.
Don't try to get 2, because that's what the Patriots did back in that game in 2009.
In Indy,
And Falk only ran a pattern for 2 yards, and then he came back to the ball, so it ended up being 1.5 yards. So try to get 3 when you need 2, but not 25.
That makes sense. Hey, I got to ask both you guys, and Jimmy, we haven't discussed this play. The pass interference call on Darrelle Revis that Steve Smith drew in the game, where he stopped his route, created contact. It's very typical of basketball. Where you create
and I felt held on to Revis's arm.
That too, and got away and made the catch, obviously, because I think he created an advantage for himself.
A cushion.
With this gamesmanship.
Okay,
even though you think it, again, is it a rule breaker or not? And of course the call goes the other way. Why don't, and this is what the Ravens, again, have done this time in and time out this year. I'm pretty sure that they were either first or second in the league in drawing over 30-yard pass interference calls.
Yes, they draw more DPIs than any team in the league.
And you can tell that all he does is throw the ball up and hope that there's contact downfield. What kind of skill is that?
It's the same kind of skill as putting a running back at the slot and having him declare himself ineligible.
Thank you.
It's called trying to game the system to win, and every team does it, and the smart coaches do it well. And there happen to be 2 of those coaches out there.
Would you call that chicanery or gamesmanship?
Gamesmanship. Okay. But here's the thing about the pass interference. The problem with pass interference is that so many plays are, first of all, just missed. And I don't know how to improve human error other than having more officials looking. And having every play be reviewable. Having pass interference be, you can throw your challenge flag on it.
Which I think next year you're going to see.
Belichick has asked for that.
That's going to work.
But so that's one problem. The other problem is a number of plays where there's so much fighting between 2 guys, you really can't tell who the pass interference should be called on.
Right.
Should it be OPI or DPI? It's really both. But you don't want to call offsetting penalties, because offsetting penalties that replay the down will always be in favor of the offense, because you can just let the pass go and just replay the down.
Okay, but let's look at this.
But there was a play, just to say that it was not all against the Patriots. Yeah. There was a play where McCourty clearly contacted Owen Daniels prior to the ball getting there, and there was no DPI flag. Yeah. So the inconsistency was on both sides on those calls in the Patriots game.
Aaron,
I think
he's
I
squared
saw
up, Aaron. Daniels is squared up.
Yep.
The ball is coming.
Yep.
Boom.
Yep.
It impacted the play. That's an automatic first down.
Yeah, to me it was as obvious as the one where they grabbed Gronkowski's arm and neither one got called.
Nobody gets called.
And I'm seeing it. If I can see it from the press box, why can the guys on the field not see this?
Right. And so
so it goes back to what I said before about they let certain things go, and I have a problem with that.
And there is the human error or the human element.
He just said you can't let certain calls go.
I know.
I don't think
but how do you decide which one goes and which one doesn't?
Right. I don't think you can let they need to be consistent. The problem is human error keeps them from being consistent.
Correct.
Thank you.
And I don't know what the solution is. I don't know if it's more officials. I don't know if it's an eye in the sky that's backing up the officials. I don't know what the solution is.
I can tell you this. Your eye in the sky is going to work better. I'm going to tell you that right now. Somebody in the stadium, eye in the sky, looking down. This view is much different than looking down at something.
Yeah, let me get you some more.
It's much different, Aaron. Aaron, it's like looking down a bomb site.
That's why when people ask me why I like to go and sit in the press box when I'm not writing a game story per se, and it's because you can see things and comment during the game. Thanks to Twitter, I can write a game story basically during the game that you can't see on TV. You can see the coverage. You can see how they're moving guys around. It's great to see who they've decided to assign who on coverage. It was especially good when they played the Broncos and they were switching coverage on literally like every single play.
Yep. But think of this, like you just said. If I'm looking this way, I have a better angle perspective, a peripheral, that I can see the entire field. Where you're sitting, you can look down and you can say, wait a minute, ho. I'm seeing all of this. And how are they? Now, the broadcasters are up there, too. Chris Collinsworth, Al Michaels, whatever. They're seeing it, too. And so they consequently, lots of times you'll hear Chris Collins say, I don't agree with that call. Or whatever, because he has a better angle. So I'm saying, why can't I put an eye at that level? They can look down too and say, well, maybe they missed it. These guys are not having a great day. Like you said, sometimes they're only, Aaron, they're only human. And I can't ask them at light speed just about to make all of these calls correctly. They say if the average official waits out at 90 plus, he's okay.
Right.
I don't think there's any 90s out there.
Some of the problem is human error. There's also a problem where the difficulty of interpreting the rules.
Okay.
If you look at all the crews in the league, certain crews call far more illegal contact.
Yes, they do.
And other crews
don't.
call far more
Holding.
defensive pass interference.
Yep.
Almost as if they use a holding or illegal contact almost as a minor pass interference call, a way to call pass interference without giving 40 yards.
Okay, I got you.
Well, okay, that's nice, but if we're going to do that, then we should all do that the same.
Yeah, exactly. Now, perfect example. You're not stretching the field 40 yards, but you throw the ball down the field 40 yards, and then the play is over. Then you see a flag on the ground, holding that happened back here.
Right.
At 5 yards. It's still an automatic first down.
It is a little weird when the officials kind of sit and think, and then they throw the flag.
But, Aaron, think of this one part.
But sometimes that flag comes out early, and you're like, you see the catch, and you're like, oh, but you already see the flag.
Yeah, but think of this, partner. And this is the big one. Detroit. The flag
was weird.
On the field,
That
Aaron.
was weird.
It's not like he didn't throw it. He
That
threw
was
it.
weird.
So everybody's going, oh, shoot, we just lost the game.
But we want the officials to do their best job, and that means that if they disagree about what a call should be, they should conference afterwards. If they feel that a flag should be picked up, the flag should be picked up.
Okay.
The problem with that one was, one, it
The
looked
guy
like
that
that was
threw
a
it
mistake.
had the best angle.
And two, they didn't explain over the PA what was going on,
No,
so
not at
no
all.
one knew what was going on.
But, Aaron, the guy that made the call had the best angle. He was the one that saw it.
Yes.
Then you got a guy coming 50 yards from across the field saying, no, no, no. That's where you talk about that inconsistency that drives people crazy.
That's where it's ridiculous to have these mixed crews during the playoffs where
How
they
could you do that?
take officials from different crews
How
and
do you
put them
do that?
together instead of guys that have been working
I'm
together
just saying,
all
how do
year
you do that?
and know each other's tendencies.
And then you tell me that you're serious about the game? No, you're not. You're not serious about the game, Aaron. That's when you do that.
I don't know why.
Aaron, the first round games, the wild card game on, they had some of the just botched up crews out there, and you're saying to yourself, who are these guys?
Right.
There's no rhythm. Aaron, you and I are
It's
working
the same
together.
guys. It's just different guys that don't know each other.
And we know each other. We know how to bounce off each other. We've been doing this all season together. Now you come to the playoffs, I got to work with 7 other guys that I know nothing about.
Yes.
And what I'm looking at, let's go back to the beauty of your comment about the split crews. This crew we've been calling this way all year long.
Yes.
These other crews have been calling it this way. Right. Now I got 5 guys from those other crews that call it that way. I've been calling it this way for the whole year. Now you expect me to get in the playoffs and say, wait a minute, I got to adjust my thinking.
There's an element here of what we always have in baseball. Pitchers always say, I don't care what your strike zone is, I just want it to be the same from the first pitch
to the last pitch. Yep, okay.
Well, the same goes in football. The best thing would be for us to have the same interpretation of the rules by every crew, but the next step would be at least for every crew to always interpret the rules the same way for that. So at least you could watch film of their games and kind of know what's coming. And the problem with these mixed crews in the playoffs is you don't even know what's coming.
And I mean, think about this. If you live in Detroit, and now this goes back, we're going to leave the stats out of this.
Why?
You
if you
bet
live in
money,
Detroit, why
you
are you
bet
still
money, you bet money on a game to see a call like that made. You can't tell me you're not going to be infuriated. The fan in you is going to be infuriated. Okay, then you turn around the next week in Dallas, and you live in Dallas.
Betting money on a game.
That's what I don't bet money on games, so I'm not worried. But what I'm saying, the next week you get that. Now you have a bunch of infuriated fans saying, you know, this is just crazy. You can't figure it out. We don't know what's going to be called. Every time the ball is snapped, Aaron, I'm sitting back going, oh gosh, here it comes. What's going to be called? If I see the ball going deep down the field, okay, it's got to be pushing off or it's got to be this.
It's a shame that we have so many games that what we talk about afterwards is the officiating rather than the playing and the coaching.
Good point.
And they need to work on fixing the problem.
Excuse me. I don't know if they can get away from themselves enough to look at it like that. I just don't, Aaron. I don't have the faith that they will get away from themselves to look at it like that.
You wonder if you have sort of like a inner circle problem where they're kind of in the bubble, and they don't hear what everyone's saying
outside the bubble.
But how can they? Because in the bubble, they do know what ProFootballTalk.com is.
Yes.
Right. Okay. They do know what ESPN First Take is.
Yes.
Like they know what sport. Like
and they're watching.
They don't have to be idiots.
They watch
know
it.
What we're all saying.
They study all y'all stuff.
Yeah.
They sit back and look at this stuff. So if they're doing that, Aaron, and then you're still ignoring what's sitting in front of you, what does that say about you? You're not interested in improving your game. You're not interested in the people that pay all of that money to make your game what it is.
I don't know why they make some of the decisions that they make about the officiating.
I don't think they even know why sometimes. That's what bothers me more. All right, let's go a little bit further. Now you have 2 teams We're down to these Final Four, as you mentioned, and I was waiting for this to come because now the Patriots are there, fan, whatever. Indianapolis would have to come here and play out of their minds to beat these guys.
Yes.
They will have to play out. They'll have to play on another planet level to beat these guys. So you're just about saying the Patriots will find a way to get into the Super Bowl. Okay.
Well, I mean, listen, the fact is I'm a great believer that upsets happen, and in probabilities. We have the Patriots at like 70% to win this game.
Okay. All right. So if they're 70% to win the game, and let's say the 30% came up and they lost.
Right.
Well, then everybody's going to be crazy. But 70%. Seattle and Green Bay.
Yeah.
Where do you have, what percentage?
We have that at like 65.
So that's even a bigger gap.
For Seattle.
35. It's 35%.
Seattle is a better team than the Patriots, but
Yeah.
Green Bay is better than Indy.
And is Green Bay better than the Patriots?
We have the Patriots ahead of Green Bay.
Okay. So if they do upset them, they go into Seattle, they upset them, then would the Patriots be favored to win the Super Bowl in that case?
I don't know whether odds makers would favor them. My guess is they would, but maybe not by much.
Gotcha.
Given that Green Bay beat them earlier this year, maybe by like a point.
And that's nothing. That's nothing.
And I would favor the Patriots by a point.
Yeah, you take the point. You have to take the point.
Or two. I mean, it would be New England Green Bay would be extremely close. New England Green Bay was extremely close. Seattle will be favored over New England.
By how much?
If setting the lines based on my numbers or what I think Vegas would do.
Your numbers, and then let's go to Vegas.
My numbers would probably be Seattle by 1.5 or 2.
1.5. Okay.
Vegas will probably be 4 or 5.
I'd say somebody said
my
5.
numbers would be
Vegas
Seattle
will go 4 or
over
5.
Indy by like 6 or 7. Vegas would probably be 10.
And of course, people don't realize this. Vegas is setting their line based on how much can be bet on either side. That's how they make their decisions.
Right. So it's not just about who they
who's going to
think
win
is
and how much and why. Right, exactly.
But either Seattle or Green Bay would be, I think, significantly favored over Indianapolis.
Okay.
Let me ask you, and of course I apologize I wasn't listening attentively.
We talked about officiating. I'm ready to talk about something else.
I want to talk about Peyton Manning.
Yes.
I want to talk about Peyton Manning, and does he earn any more respect that he played with a torn quad for the last month? And does that impact his decision in this offseason?
It depends. Did he play with a torn quad for the last month? Because from what I can tell, the big story today has been the stories that disagree with each other about how long that injury's been there and how bad it really is.
But we sat here, Jimmy, for the last month looking at his play and saying, something's wrong.
Right.
I mean, the ball
Remember the Cincinnati game, Aaron?
Yes.
That's when I felt something was wrong. I felt he wasn't pushing off.
I don't know how much injury there is. And then there were reports it was both quads, in which case the league should fine Denver for not putting that in the injury list.
Thank you.
Right, which hasn't. I know.
No, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, look, guys should have credit for playing on an injury. But we had 2 quarterbacks who played on an injured leg yesterday. One of them looked way better than the other one.
Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have an injury, don't build a game plan that's designed to be destroyed by that injury. If you know you can't throw deep accurately because of your leg, do not allow your offensive coordinator to put a game plan together that's like, well, if the Colts give us the deep throw, man, we're going after it over and over again.
There was one play in the game, Aaron. Manning rolls out to the right, and the embarrassing part was when the camera from behind him showed the replay.
Yeah.
There was no one on that side of the field. 5 yards to go, right? All he had to do, he could have walked.
He had like 20 yards in front of him.
He could have tiptoed to the sideline for 5 yards, stepped out of bounds.
Yep.
When he didn't run, I said something's wrong. And he tried to throw it to Emmanuel. He threw it low.
Although honestly, how many times have we seen Tom Brady have that happen and you're like, just run for it. Just run. Tom, just run for it. And he doesn't. Like he did in the playoff game, but almost always he doesn't. And I'm just like, Tom, I know you're not a runner, man, but come on, 3 yards, let's go.
And I think it's
a lot of those pocket quarterbacks,
it
doesn't even come to their minds.
Come to their minds, exactly.
Well, now let's talk about that, because what you're actually watching is the evolution of the quarterback position in the National Football League. When you look at Russell Wilson, because he can rely on his athleticism.
You know what? I'm going to disagree with you.
No.
There have always been certain quarterbacks who can scramble and others who can't.
Yep.
The only difference in the evolution of the position is the availability of a read option play, which creates planned runs for your quarterback that depend upon deception to free the quarterback with an unblocked defender. Otherwise, Russell Wilson and Andrew Luck and Aaron Rodgers are no more than just the descendants of Steve Young, who is the descendant
RG3,
of Fran
he'd be in there too.
Tarkenton,
Exactly.
who
All
is the
descendants of Fran
descendant of
Tarkenton.
Otto Graham, or I mean, you know, and
Now
Cam
he's talking
Newton
about
is
language.
just
You're
Bobby
going back
Douglas,
to the going back to the history. Go ahead.
right? I mean, you know,
Archie Manning, who could run too.
Cam Newton's a better thrower than Bobby Douglas,
Yep.
right? You know, okay, so Luck or Rodgers is more like Warren Moon or Trent Green, who surprisingly underrated as a runner, tended to only run when they knew they could convert. Whereas a guy like Wilson or Griffin will run more often just because they'll just go for it. But like those guys have been throughout NFL history. The difference now is the planned runs and the read option.
Yep. And they have the athleticism to actually pull that off, as opposed to what that position had
there
years
are
ago.
more of them.
Right.
There were not as many of them. And back in the day, Tarkenton was a serious exception.
Oh my God,
he was fun to watch.
Oh my God.
You know, nowadays, you know, Randall Cunningham was this amazing thing.
Another
now
guy,
we have 6 guys that are like Randall Cunningham.
Right. Right, I get it. Again, I think the
And
position
Randall Cunningham, look
has
at all
evolved.
the damage. Like he said, look at how much time Randall Cunningham could buy in the pocket. He rolled to the right. He rolled to the left. There's one video of Fran Tarkenton that's NFL historic stuff where he scrambles for like 20 seconds to the one side, to the other side.
I'll tell you something about
and then he completes the pass down the field.
Randall Cunningham was on the team that set the all-time record for sacks. And mobile quarterbacks generally get sacked more than pocket quarterbacks do because they're trying to keep a play alive and they run themselves into sacks rather than throw the ball.
And of course, it's a sack as long as you can tackle behind the line of scrimmage.
Or at the line of
scrimmage. Or at the
line
of scrimmage. At or behind the line of scrimmage.
So there you go. You guys know this is great stuff. I didn't. What was your impression of the Patriots yesterday? I mean,
they looked awful.
no, wait, stop right
at the
there.
First.
Well, no, but let's talk about this, Jimmy, because we talked about this too. Having that number 1 seed and giving you that bye week changes the rhythm.
You know what? It didn't really change the rhythm for Seattle.
No.
Seattle looked fine.
Nope, they look fine.
They weren't having any rhythm.
Seattle right now is a better team.
They just rolled.
There have been plenty of number 1 seeds throughout history and number 2 seeds throughout history that haven't had a rhythm. I don't know why they didn't look good. I would chalk it up to really great game planning by Kubiak.
Thank you.
It really just looked like the Ravens were running plays like they just knew this is how the Patriots are going to start on defense, and we're going to run this stuff. They're not going to be able to stop it.
They couldn't stop them at all.
Okay, so one of the theories of one of my writers is that Kubiak will read what you're doing on defense at the beginning of the game and use that to plan his game plan for the rest of the game. And therefore, Belichick wanted to confuse them. And so he came out in a zone defense, and they played zone defense.
Yep.
The first 2 drives.
Right, and they got
the idea being, they will confuse Kubiak. Except that would have been I hope that the plan was not let's give up 2 touchdowns and play like terribly while we do this. Because I don't know if you watched
Let's give them 2. Why not?
I don't know if you ever watched the 2013.
We don't care about being down 14-0.
2013 Tampa Bay Buccaneers to learn about this thing called wasting Darrelle Revis. But like when Marlon Brown is lined up and you've got Revis on him, I'm like, that zone coverage is not working, man.
And by the way, the Patriots.
I don't want Revis on Kyle Juszczyk.
In the first 4 games of the season this year, they played a lot of zone, and people couldn't figure out why they were doing that when they had such great man-on-man defenders in their secondary. And as soon as they went back to that, to their strength, they started to play better defense.
Okay, but let's go one step further.
But
wait a minute, but let's go. Okay, then you got back in the game playing what you said. We go to man-to-man. We're going to go back to doing what we do best.
Right.
Now, if the genius coach, why am I going to go back to playing zone and then they get 2 more touchdowns? What are you doing?
What happened was they started kind of going back and forth a little bit, but it was interesting. The first play they played man.
Yep.
Steve Smith beat Revis.
Beat him clean.
Okay, but like you know what? That's Steve Smith's pretty good.
That's one play.
It's not like you just got beat by Michael Campanaro.
I like
that guy
He's
is.
pretty good. So
Michael
if I get beat 1 play by him, I'll deal with him.
The magic rookie 7th round receiver who suddenly is getting end arounds on 3rd and 1. But what they got their stuff together. The best part was when they went no huddle. When they went no huddle, the Ravens couldn't stop them.
Yep. And
that they just said, you know what? We're running up the middle against Alode Nada and Brandon Williams Timmy Jernigan. We're not getting anything.
Jernigan, nope.
Screw it. Pass. Forget about the run. Forget about the run, pass. No runs the entire second half of the game.
Right.
You know why? Because Haloti Nada and Brandon Williams
shut them down
versus 9th string cornerbacks who were on the Miami practice squad 3 years ago. That's smart coaching, going up against your opponent's weaknesses.
Right.
And so they got the act together with that, and then even after Stork went out, it took them a couple of series, and then they went back to the no huddle. They felt comfortable enough with Wendell to run the no huddle. The no huddle was working.
But let's but let's.
And then Flacco didn't see Harmon.
Thank you.
He saw Torrey Smith had a step. He didn't see Harmon.
He didn't see him,
on that
but he
part.
threw the ball. If he throws the ball
to the
towards
left,
the corner, exactly,
then it's out of bounds, and they live again.
And they live again. Or if he throws a little bit deeper, only Harmon can get it. If he doesn't get, and only Smith can get it. And if he doesn't get it, we're playing again. We got another down. Plus, you didn't even have to go them there. Like you said, you still have plenty of time. You didn't have to, because you would have been giving Brady the ball back with 1:39 to play.
Yes, it was a weird.
And that would have been stupid because.
Much like Dallas going deep on the 4th and 2.
Thank you.
It was an
you didn't have to because the whole field was open by this time.
Yes.
But okay, let's go. No, you want to break it down? Let's go. There's one other thing I was looking at too. Think about this. We know that the Ravens were picking up guys off the street to play. They even said it on the air.
They went after
not
that.
a secondary.
They went after that guy.
They're not a secondary. And the guy's playing 9 yards off of Edelman. Boom. 9 yards off of LaFell. Boom. 9 yards off of Gronkowski. Boom.
Right.
And Brady was just taking what he got.
What do the Patriots not do well? Throw deep.
Throw deep.
What were the Ravens trying to stop? Throwing deep.
Throwing deep.
That was weird.
That was weird.
That was weird.
Of course, the best deep ball guys, their flanker, just Edelman.
I would definitely say, as far as coaching in that game, Gary Kubiak had a much better day than Dean Pease.
Patricia?
Did.
Oh, Pease. Okay, yep. But see, the thing was, okay, you had the momentum. Patriots found themselves, they came back. Let's be honest. They didn't play that well. They got outplayed.
Well,
they were outplayed for the majority of the game.
In a large part of the game, they were outplayed. When the game was over, in my numbers, they actually came out higher.
Yep.
That was a little bit of a surprise to me.
Okay.
Some of that is the effect of the trick play, the one trick play, the Edelman pass.
Wait a second, hang on a second.
But I think,
this is not
they
a trick
still
play.
had to complete that
It
pass.
is a trick play, Jimmy. You don't run that play.
It's been in the freaking rule book forever.
It is a trick
Excuse
play.
me, is that a trick play?
Explain to me then.
Because the point of the play is to trick the defense.
The defense, Jimmy. You're not looking at it from the defense.
Gronk blocked. Gronk blocked through
he
the screen.
steps back like this to block.
Okay, that's a trick.
Okay.
Okay.
Now they're disguising it.
Here's where you need to pull John Harbaugh aside, and you need to say, John, trickery is part of football.
Exactly.
When you play action, that's trickery. When you send Sam Cook out there and you have him pass instead of punting the ball, that's trickery.
That's trickery.
This is when you start in a cover 3 shell and then you switch to cover 2 at the snap.
Chicanery. I call it chicanery. It's trickery. It's trickery.
Filled with one coverage shell switches to another. Like we do this all the time.
And
the difference is that the wide receiver pass is cooler and has more T-shirts.
And I'm saying, if you think that they're that good, why would they outplay that badly? And they needed a trick play. To
answer that question, is that any given Sunday, every day is different.
Yeah.
When you say that a team is good, what you mean is that there's a possibility of performance for them that goes from here to here. And some days they come out here and they're absurdly good, like Dallas against Indianapolis 4 weeks ago. Yep. And sometimes they come here and they're absurdly, they're nowhere near as good as usual. The difference is that a bad team is over here and a good team is here.
The
Patriots didn't have one of their better games. But they got better as the game went along.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean they're suddenly not going to be good next week.
Okay, all right.
God, no, I'm going to defend the trickery for a second.
Okay. Oh, Lord, go ahead.
I'm going to say it again.
Defend trickery, go ahead.
I'm going to defend it again. I'm going to say this. I say, you know what? That play, whether it's a flanker option or a halfback option, has been in the books for a long time.
I know,
Dave Meggett was the
David Patton with we're not saying hold on. We didn't say it's illegal or wrong.
And I'm not saying
the Jaguars ran that play for 2 straight weeks at the end of the season.
3 weeks ago, when I sat here with Bob Lobel and Jimmy Myers, I went off on a rant a little bit saying, I don't get it. They have a college quarterback on their roster, and he's never thrown a pass. I don't understand
You think you don't get
it?
You don't think you don't get it? Jacksonville has a college quarterback on the roster as their running back, and they did this 2 straight weeks with wide receivers who were not college quarterbacks. So I don't understand that either. Look, if I had a team, I would run halfback option once a game. I love halfback option.
I
love it too. I do too, because it's a natural tendency. They're pitching it back to the halfback.
Jimmy,
I'm a defense. I'm going to take
Jimmy,
a little.
One of the greatest games that I ever watched was the 1962 NFL championship game between the Green Bay Packers and the New York Giants in New York. Now, the year before, the Packers crushed them in Green Bay 37-0. This game, bitter cold and everything. Now, Green Bay's running the ball. They have Paul Hornung and Jim Taylor, right? They ran a sweep. Red right, 49, red right. Boom, boom, boom. 47 left. So they're running sweep, just like Aaron said. So they get down in the scoring zone. Paul Hornung goes to roll out, throws this pass. Boyd Dowler catches it down the 7-yard line. Boom. Change the game around.
Way more halfback option in the 50s and 60s.
Yes.
Now, part of that was because a lot of their halfbacks had been college option quarterbacks, like Harnig was.
Yep.
They were guys, they were running backs who could throw,
and they knew.
like Frank Gifford. But Jacksonville has that guy now.
Yep.
But other teams could, like, I'm sure that between Shane Vereen, LeGarrette Blount, and Brandon Bolden, somebody can kind of throw the ball okay as if they're like on the sandlot.
Right.
I mean, if the Jets could run halfback option 10 years ago with Lamont Jordan, the Patriots can do it with somebody.
So now that they've shown it.
Or they should just do it with Edelman like they did.
And now that they've shown it, they're not going to do it again, I doubt.
Oh, no.
No, you can't say that. The reason being is, okay,
they're going to run a different play off that.
Right, they'll run a different play off that.
Okay, you run a reverse pass then. You flip it to him coming around the wing, then he throws it down. There are different ways of getting it done.
If I ran a team, we would have 5 or 6 of those in the playbook.
Yep.
And we would run it 15. We'd run it like 15 times a year. Not every week. There'd be weeks where there were 2 or 3 and weeks where there were none.
It was the perfect play at that point.
For the defense they played because they blitzed from that side.
Thank you. Because look how badly the defense was beaten. They didn't even get over. I mean, when guys are wide open down the field, that's blown coverage. Somebody didn't see anything because 41 was the last guy chasing. He was this far away. I said, there's no way he's going to catch.
Right. Well, 41 is the kid. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, I know.
41 is the kid who just came off the
practice squad.
Wait, or was 41 Levine, who's been there for a while?
Levine, no.
There was another kid who was the practice squad. That's the kid who originally had Amendola and just was completely.
DB stepped up instead of staying in his zone.
Right.
As soon as he saw Gronkowski rise up, he came up and he
Yes.
stopped. Once he stopped, too late. By the time you turn around and look, Amendola's gone.
But run more of that play, man.
This
I
is
love
why
flea
it's not
flickers.
trickery,
I love
because
flea
if I
flickers
came up
too.
with it-
I love flea flickers
I
too.
do too.
Safe
I love
stuff.
flea flickers
I love
too.
flea flickers. I think
Remember
that
the
stuff
days
is
when
unbelievable.
Grogan used to throw that flea flicker
Oh, my
with
goodness.
Stanley
Ooh.
Corrigan?
Flea flickers
Oh,
have a
my
great
God.
historic success rate.
And think about it.
And that's got to be in their playbook, by the way.
And that's
'Cause
another thing.
they
Boy,
haven't used it.
but when you got a running game going, that guy
Pull that out
takes
against
2
Seattle.
steps up and turns around and pitches it back, and you feel that guys are up the seam or going deep. No, I'm going to tell you something right now. First things first, Seattle will play press coverage. They're not giving up all that short stuff they gave up last night. Sherman and these guys will come up. They will make them beat them deep.
Yes.
Now you've got Cam
Because they have
Chancellor,
Earl Thomas back there.
Earl Thomas, and they got Cam Chancellor to play Gronkowski. Look, he's 6'4".
I have a hidden
play.
secret for you.
Go ahead.
Seattle's not very good covering tight ends.
Covering tight ends? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
Cam
find
Chancellor
out.
has many talents.
Yes, he does.
The covering tight ends man to man is not among his.
It's not going to be him, though. It's going to be
not,
the linebackers
not among the
under
best.
two.
Right,
It's
and the
gonna be
linebackers,
Bobby
it's
Wagner.
not among the best
It's
of
going
their.
to be their linebackers.
It's actually the weakness of the Seattle defense.
Okay. Well, let's see.
In that
he
they're
should have a
only
field day.
in that they're average.
Then, okay, great. Then,
So for
then
Seattle,
let's see
being average is a weakness.
Attack it, right.
Let's see how he plays against them. I'm going to be very interested
It's
because
the game. We all want to see that game.
Because no, you want to see Green Bay in them. That's what you want to see. But
No, Jamie wants to see
I don't
Green Bay
care.
in there.
I
could
don't
care
care
less.
who plays. When you get to the final two,
You're trying to give Desmond Howard something to do after the college season ends? Is that what you're doing here? This Green Bay stuff?
He's the Green Bay guy.
No, he's that Green Bay guy.
He's the Green Bay guy.
It's hard living with him, Aaron.
It's all right. And
Believe
then,
me.
you know, remember that one game? We had this place decorated with Packers paraphernalia stuff, cheese heads and
I thought it was
green
great.
and gold.
I
and
thought it was great.
it was great.
I loved
and
it.
it was a great football
I
game.
wanted to take the little Cowboys,
And
but
it was
he
a
wouldn't
great
let me.
football game.
He wouldn't let me take a
They
little.
play that game again on a neutral field, and I think the Patriots win that game.
Maybe.
The Packers were the better team that year.
That night.
That day.
Right, but of course you don't play that night over and over again.
No,
You
you
play as those teams were. The Packers were the better team that year.
Yeah.
It was not an upset by any means for them.
Oh, we're in Des Howard time? Is that where we are now? Is that where we were? I was talking about this year.
No.
That's okay.
No,
It's
the
all
Packers were better when they played.
But that was at Lambeau.
That's at
If you
Lambeau,
play
right.
that
On
game,
a
if you play
neutral
that
field,
game in the Super Bowl this year, if they upset Seattle, that is great. That match would be Green Bay, New England.
And whoever has the ball last is probably going to win. Because they're going to be going, if you give it to either one of these quarterbacks with 2 minutes to go, they'll take you the length of the field and win the
It's
game.
going to be tough to beat the excitement of that Saturday game because I got to tell you, people, That was emotional roll this past
Oh, this
Saturday.
was terrible. Yeah, it was
Baltimore game.
so anxious.
It was
because
up,
the end of the
down.
game felt like the Super Bowls, the last two Super Bowls. They're down. They're winning by 4. Other team can't get a field goal. They have to go for a touchdown. It's exactly the same as both Super Bowls. And the point of this year was supposed to be this year the defense is not going to give that up.
Yeah, well, the idea was, and they
Well,
did.
my feeling is still this. There's one critical play there, and I knew you were there, so you should remember this. First and goal, inside the 10-yard line. On, I think it was a second or third down, Stevie Smith came across, reversed, and Reeves turned around, grabbed him with both hands, because the replay showed he grabbed the back of his jersey with both hands. There's no holding call there. I'm saying to myself, they didn't make a call. I said, they got to settle for a field goal. First thing I said was field goal, game over, because you're settling for 3, and you know the Patriots are going down the field to get 7. And that's exactly what they did.
But that's why you play close, because they're only going to see that sometimes. They saw it on the play where Jamie Collins got the strip sack. They didn't see it on that play. They saw some of the pass interference that the Ravens pulled. They didn't see it on Gronk. They saw some of what the Patriots did. They didn't see it when McCourty hit Daniels.
I can't
you
miss
play
that play.
close. This is the Seattle theory of defense. You play close and hard, knowing they're not going to see it all.
And knowing they're only going to call a certain amount
Don't
of
be
stuff.
blatant.
Right.
Don't be what?
Don't be blatant. Which is what Brandon Browder's.
Yes.
He's just like, oh man, well I'm just going to chest bump this guy.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, which is
Right.
crazy.
I also think that they're really smart, that they know exactly where the referees are behind them so that they can shield it from their sight.
I'm telling you right now, Seattle does.
Of course they do. And they're very good at it. And by the way, that too is a skill.
Yep.
That too is a skill. It's chicanery, but it's a skill.
Okay. I don't care.
It's the word of the day.
I don't care who they
It's a
play.
good SAT word.
If they play Green Bay, it's going to be a tough game.
We're talking about 4 offensive linemen.
Exactly.
Well, we're about to talk about that next, all right? We did, actually, Jimmy and I talked about that at the beginning because I am of the opinion that, Bill Belichick, again, looks at rules, figures out ways to do things that, it's in the books. I'm going to figure out a way to exploit this to our advantage in some capacity.
Alabama did it 2 months ago?
Not surprised.
Alabama did 2 months ago on the first play of overtime.
First play of overtime.
Now, the difference is that in college football, you cannot declare a guy ineligible.
Thank you.
So they had to throw an actual offensive lineman out there. So they throw an actual offensive. They had 6 actual offensive linemen on the field.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
And the left tackle declared himself eligible. And then the guy in the slot walked backwards the same way that the Patriots
2
had
steps
Marine
back.
doing,
Bum, bum.
going up for a non-existent screen, and and LSU had no idea what's going on. Meanwhile, this lineman, who was an actual lineman, not a tight end, not home
remember this play now.
went down the seam and to the 1 yard line. And I'm not being a huge college fan. I did not know this, and then someone sent us a clip of it, and it's like it's the exact same play. The difference is that it didn't include the part where guys declare themselves ineligible, which is like we're up there in the press box going, what on earth is Shane Vereen playing?
Thank you.
We're like, we don't know what's going on. I'm thinking, is this like earlier this year, Atlanta had so many injuries, they had to take Levine Toilolo and put him at right tackle. And he had to declare himself ineligible before every snap. So I'm like, is that what's going on? Did they have injuries? But then it's like, but why would that be Vereen? That makes no sense.
Right.
Okay. But here's the.
It was like, what's going
Aaron.
We didn't know what was going on.
Okay,
Does
that's what I'm
Harbaugh
saying.
have a case? This is what Jimmy was trying to make.
No, he has no case.
Okay, that's no case. But what I said was this: Harbaugh's argument was that once he declared himself ineligible.
Right.
They never allowed the defense to even know he was ineligible. That's what he said.
Unless those guys, no disrespect to the football team of Gallaudet University, but unless those guys are all deaf, they knew what was going on because it was announced on the PA. And the second and third time, I've never heard this before. This I've never heard.
Okay.
He literally said, the ref literally said, 34 is ineligible.
eligible.
Don't
Cover him.
34.
He did say that. How is he gonna
Can
tell
you
him?
imagine that? Can you imagine J.J. Watt comes in the game to play tight end for the Houston Texans? They're like, 99 is eligible. You better put 2 guys on him. He's J.J. Watt.
He's the guy.
He's done this before.
No, he's done it before.
His coach is Vrabel.
Right.
Put 2 guys on him.
Right. And you don't have to worry about the other guy on the
I
other
can't
side.
even imagine the refs doing that. But they literally did announce. Don't cover that guy.
Okay, let's go back a couple of weeks ago. Now think about this one. In the Detroit game, when the pass interference was picked up or whatever, why wasn't Dez Bryant hit with the 15-yard penalty for running on the field? Which would have still, Aaron, that would have changed the game. that 15-yard penalty ends the game, period. Remember? Even if he picked the flag, if he got that upset and he runs on the field, you throw the 15-yard penalty,
It's just
game's over.
inconsistency and human error. But the thing is, Harbaugh wanted that penalty. That was deliberate. I don't fault them for giving him that penalty. He wanted it. He wanted the penalty so he could stop the game and tell the officials, tell him to knock it off.
No, I think,
and they never did it again after that, by the way.
Yep. He told them also. He said,
I don't know what he
not
said.
Giving us time
to which they were. They were giving them like 10 seconds.
They weren't, because you can't make subs.
Well,
you can't run
problem.
anybody. That was his biggest beef in the post game, because he said.
But they had time to make subs because the guys didn't come on. The guys came onto the field.
Right.
By the time everyone comes onto the field and the lineman has gone off, and then they announce the eligible.
Right.
And by the time they get to the snap, there's been 25 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So they got time
you've got to watch Josh Klein running off the field. It's not enough to wait for the PA guy to tell you who to cover and not cover.
Oh, I love this stuff. John Harbaugh even today said the same thing. He says, if that's the way we're going to play, then fine. Let us run anything we want in and out, and we don't have to. All we have to do is announce it as they're walking up to the line of scrimmage. Now I'm ineligible. Now you got a whole defense set and they're looking on.
That's right, John. If Gary Kubiak wants to do that next year, Gary Kubiak can do that next year. Gary Kubiak has the whole offseason to plan stuff. And you want to know something?
We're going to be doing this.
That strategy only works as a surprise. Because do you want Michael Ho'omanawanui trying to block Terrell Suggs one-on-one?
No.
No.
By the way, Hooman, 4 catches. 4 catches.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 2 of them were out of that formation.
Right. And that's when you start saying to yourself, something's right. Something's different here.
No, you don't say something's right. Right is a different player.
Right.
Is he still on the team?
That's a different tight end.
Is he on the team?
Yeah, wait. The Colts are terrible against tight ends. Right ends. Yeah. Wright's gonna have a big game in the AFC Championship.
Okay.
All right, good. Well, that'll be good because he was, not
and
even.
If Gronkowski plays in the Super Bowl, he's gonna have a great game against Seattle. Okay, we'll see.
I'd like to see the Patriots just make
I don't
every
care.
play call to Gronkowski on one drive. I want to see if a team can stop him. Let him run 5 or 6 plays in a row, all to Gronkowski, different routes.
Oh, if Seattle knew that was coming, they could stop him.
Oh, they'd stop it.
At that point,
you can believe that.
And by the way, when do you make that? Second play?
They just have to change their scheme to make that happen.
I understand that.
Anybody ever heard?
Again, I'm not going to announce it.
Has anybody ever heard of bracketing? They're not going to give him free releases off the line of scrimmage. Like Aaron said, they're going to make adjustments as the game goes on.
Right, but that changes what they can do with the rest of their defense because now they can't play their usual cover 3 because if you have to put 2 guys on Gronk, now somebody has to be coming from somewhere. You have to take something away from somewhere else.
But if do you honestly think that Richard Sherman is worried about Amendola or he's worried about Edelman? He's not worried about covering those guys one-on-one. Once he's their cover corner. McNeil, the other guy on the other side of the field. Okay, you'll have to go there. You'll have to start.
So are you suggesting they put Sherman
stuff
on Gronk?
No, hell no.
Because
I'm
otherwise,
he's
covering one of those guys one-on-one.
Exactly.
That's what he's doing. That's his thing. That's what
what's going to happen. He's going to cover somebody one-on-one.
Right.
And I guarantee. Look, I believe it's going to be so interesting to see what they take away. Because Seattle's going to take some things away. And then what adjustments the Patriots will make. Okay, they're taking this away, we're going to do this.
Actually, my honest belief is that if I'm Seattle, I don't think there's enough of a difference between Edelman and Amendola to be worth moving Sherman around. I leave the 2 guys.
I'm leaving them over there. Yeah, I'm not touching it.
They're more comfortable.
Just to make
Jamie, not like it's AJ Green or something.
Just to make Jamie, our producer over there, happy, how is Green Bay going to beat Seattle?
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting is.
No, I'll tell you how they beat him.
What's interesting?
Rodgers comes out hot. Rodgers hits the first 5 or 6 passes and gets into the rhythm that he wants to be in. Then Seattle's going to have a hard time containing him. Because once he starts hitting the stuff that he wants, then he can turn and hand it to 27. Then you change all of what Seattle has to do.
But that's so hard against their defense. Yeah. And I think you'd have to have a lot of Randall Cobb.
Yep.
But the problem is, right, what did I say? What did I say? The Seattle defense, their relative weakness is tight ends.
Tight ends.
Who's really that afraid of Corliss or Richard Rodgers? I mean, those guys are there to catch the ball when you need to run tight end routes, but they're not scaring anybody.
No.
And so that's a hard matchup for Green Bay.
Sure.
And on defense, Dom Capers has always had problems scheming against a zone read. They are gonna read option them over and over again.
Does anybody check the weather for Sunday? Future weathercast or anything like that? Not that
I haven't
matter.
checked. Warmer in Seattle than it will be here.
Warmer, yeah, than here.
And no, my point being is that Indianapolis is not going to, they're going to have to deal with the elements, and I don't.
Yes.
They're just not. It's just not going to happen. I mean, I know it's not nothing is a sure thing. I know
nothing is a sure thing.
The key is
Hakeem Nicks. The key is Hakeem Nicks.
Yep.
In Seattle? How about
mid-50s?
Rain in mid-50s
in Seattle?
All right, so somebody's calf will feel
too.
better. Someone's calf will feel better. But here, right? Okay.
And
so
rain.
What they did last time was they had Revis on Reggie Wayne. Then they doubled Hilton with Browner and a safety.
Yep.
So that really puts a lot on Knicks, and the Patriots are very weak, even weaker than
There's a big drop-off
against tight ends.
Fleener.
Yep. There's going to be a lot of Fleener.
Yep.
Dwayne Allen.
Yep.
And I think Knicks. They need those three guys to come up big, and
Well,
they need the run defense to magically appear that wasn't there last time.
Jamie Collins is the guy who has to shut down the tight end, though. He'll be the guy that'll end up on that tight end. Fleener.
But he hasn't done a good job of it this year.
Yeah, it's been inconsistent, which isn't a good job.
They have problems when other guys are covering the tight end.
Exactly.
And that, listen, what you get out of that is the ability to do things like A-gap blitz with Jamie Collins, which there wasn't enough of this week. But
there was zero.
But that is a real weakness of the Patriots' defense is tight ends. And there's going to be a lot of Fleener and Dwayne Allen in this game. But I think Knicks is the key because there's three receivers, but they know what to do with two of them. Unless they decide that Wayne in the second half hasn't been as good as Knicks, and they decide to put Revis on Knicks.
Yeah, because Knicks can come out, like you said, Knicks can come out and he can cause some problems.
Father Time still undefeated.
Yeah.
Father Time is still undefeated.
It took Reggie Wayne's old teammate last night and may take Reggie.
Wow. Well, we certainly.
Peyton? Yeah. Why would you come back when all the coaches left today? When Julius Thomas and Demarius Thomas are free agents, Wes Welker's a free agent, Virgil Green, Jacob Tamme, Orlando Franklin. On the defensive side, Terrence Knighton is a free agent.
This was the year that they went for
Raheem Moore is a free agent. Oh, my God.
That's what I was saying to the kids.
Where does he go?
I'm not quite sure what he has to
Hold
come
on,
back
Jim, I
for.
want to hear this. Where do you think he goes?
Home.
If he still wants to play home.
Hollywood. Hollywood.
Actually, yeah, I'll tell you where he goes.
He's going to Hollywood. Disney World.
CBS, baby.
That's right. No question about it.
I don't
Give
think
him to Oakland.
I don't think he's ready to give it
He
up.
has more self-respect than going to Oakland.
And you know this more than anything.
I don't think he's ready to give it up.
Toughest thing for an athlete
to give it up. I don't think he's ready to give it up.
Wouldn't the most fun be Buffalo? That'd be fun.
Oh, my God.
Oh, could you imagine how much fun that would be?
Wow.
If he played in Buffalo, we get to play him.
That's not
with
gonna
Rex
two
Ryan.
times a year. Pitchers to play him 2 times a year.
With Rex Ryan.
And with Rex Ryan. Oh, that would be a lot. Yeah,
He's
go
gonna
to Buffalo.
He's going to be
Go to
successful.
Buffalo.
I think Rex Ryan's going to be okay in Buffalo if he finds a quarterback.
It's a really weird hiring. They hired a guy who has a history of not being able to develop quarterbacks and for some reason even really good offensive coordinators struggle when they work with Rex Ryan.
Interesting.
They've hired him to a team with no quarterback, and they're bringing in a really good offensive coordinator, but there's no quarterback.
I get what you're saying.
The Falcons sat on Ryan and decided they didn't want to bring him, for a second interview, and he didn't want to wait for them. But that was the fit. Oh my God, the Falcons needed Rex Ryan so badly. That team can't make pressure
Go to Buffalo,
at all.
Peyton. Go to Buffalo
They needed
or
a guy
go
who
home.
could create pressure with their non-existent pass rush and could let Matt Ryan just be Matt Ryan. That would have been the perfect spot for him.
Yeah, because Matt Ryan can play.
I don't think Rex
Matt
could
Ryan
screw
can
him up.
play.
Right.
Matt Ryan can play.
I think it'd be. I think
Plus their offense.
makes
Think
the
about it.
AFC
It's not just
so
Matt
much
Ryan.
fun.
He's got people to throw the ball to.
It makes
Roddy
the AFC
White.
East fun.
I mean, Jones. Julio Jones. He's got guys that it would open it up. Boy,
Rex is seriously hamstrung by the fact, first of all, how can that defense get much better than it already has been the last 2 years?
Right. Yeah. Good point.
And second, he's seriously hamstrung by the fact that they got rid of their first-round pick.
Oh, you
They have no quarterback and no first-round
pick.
pick.
Okay, you talking about Buffalo. Okay.
Who's coming? Judd Cutler? Who's coming there? Man?
I don't know. I don't know who's going to come. I don't know.
Greg Roman runs run-first offenses, so I don't even know if Cutler now fits there. You got Robert Griffin? I don't know.
Who wants to go to
Buffalo?
No. He's gone already, Jimmy. He's gone.
No, I know.
Who wants to go to Atlanta? Who wants to go to Oakland?
Well,
Who
Atlanta
wants to
people
go
have
to
thought
these
about
places?
Josh McDaniels.
Yep.
They're not going with my suggestion.
No.
I think the proper coach of the Atlanta Falcons is Kevin Sumlin.
Tell me why.
First of all, Kevin Sumlin and Gus Malzahn are super smart offensive minds. For those who don't know, Kevin Sumlin is a Texas A&M.
Texas A&M coach.
Gus Malzahn is Auburn. Super brilliant offensive
right guys. Yeah.
In a time when, more than any other time in NFL history, football history, offensive game planning, play calling, and design is farther ahead than defense than it's ever been before. And the vanguard is the college game. And look at what Chip Kelly did for Philly. You bring one of those guys in. Plus, they both have SEC backgrounds, right? You've got a weak fan base in Atlanta that loves college football. You bring in a guy with an SEC background, and then the tipping point, as long as you have two equal geniuses who both have SEC backgrounds, try to hire the one who's African American for the biggest African American fan base in the league to get them a little extra excited, on top of the fact that you have a brilliant offensive genius to come in and do hopefully what Chip Kelly did for Philadelphia. But someone says he doesn't want to go to the NFL, and as far as I know, no one's gone after Malzahn.
Interesting. Would you rather be in the college game right now or the NFL game right now, Jimmy?
Would I rather be in the college? I'd rather be in the college game. The reason being is that you have more control of what goes on. Pro guys don't have the type of contracts that college guys have. You're talking about $5 million for a Saban. I mean, these guys can do just about anything they want.
Security.
Well, that's what you know.
Right. Well, that's what I'm asking.
You're not doing this for love of country or whatever. You're doing this for money. And if you're doing it for money, I'm going for the security. Where I know if I go to TCU, Baylor, any one of these high-end colleges, with Nick Saban at 5 to 7, I think it's about 5 or 7, between 5 and 7. I'm walking in at 3, and Lord knows if we start winning, they're going to tear that contract up the second year. Now you're jumping up into the big leagues, and plus you have control over the program. NFL, you have no control over anything. The general manager is basically running the team, and the owner is running the team. You are not going to control anything at the NFL level. Right. Even Bill Belichick has to go to the owner to say, what's the final deal on this? In college, you don't have to do that. I mean, I don't care how powerful your athletic
all you have to do is either follow the rules or cheat in such a way that they can't tell,
can't find you.
And you're okay.
Yeah, because and Jimmy, the money is crazy. Why do you think Nick?
They gave Harbaugh more than he was making in the NFL, right?
I mean, right. I know it.
I know it. And
well, it's a bigger stadium than anything.
Oh yeah, 104,000. You know? But here's the best part, Aaron.
I think it's 110.
What if he goes there? That's standing room only. What if he goes there and he turns that around in? He needs one good recruiting class, which he'll be next year. Won't be this year because they're mostly recruited. Next year, they come out and they're 8-0 or 9-0. They've beaten Michigan State. They've beaten Ohio State and all these things. That's all they need to beat Ohio State one time. That second year, then they offer him the moon to stay. Because I'm going to tell you, that $5 million, $6 million he's getting, that's going to jump to 8
Well, you know also that every NFL team that needs a coach is coming after him.
Yeah. And
now till the end of time.
Right. And they're going to have to up that to $8 million, Aaron, to keep him, to even think about keeping him. Because they're going to say, okay, unlike San Francisco, you've proven again you won in college. We're going to give you more money than one of the top coaches in the league. So he may be around that $8 to $10 million a year coach with the 4 or 5 years guaranteed, which means I have the power as a general manager. I can make all the decisions, or at least I have input into every decision. The York family wouldn't do anything. They messed that up like you would not believe.
We have a few more minutes before Aaron has to go, so he gets a good seat for the NCAA college football team. College football championship. First ever college football championship. First ever playoff. Yeah, well, everything behind this.
Not to be, except for all those games that had Mount Union in them or Montana.
Yeah, that's right.
Wisconsin Whitewater.
1 double A's. I love that. It was a good tournament. I like tournaments. Tournaments are good. You must be happy. We're all happy that there's actually a legitimate college football playoff.
Yeah.
Jimmy'd like to see 4 more games. He'd like to go to 8.
I think they're going to 4 more teams, Aaron. I think they got to go to 8.
6.
What's going to happen? Is it 6 or 8? Okay, but I'm going to say 8. I'm going to say they're going to settle finally at 8. They'll go to 6 first. 2 wild card teams, whatever. Then they're going to jump to 8 for one reason. Because of the 4 major regions in the country: South, West, Mid, and East.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we talking about college football? Because there's 3 major reasons.
Okay. Southeast
The fourth one, yeah, you might as well have just said Mexico.
Mexico. Okay, well, I'm going with Mexico then. Put Mexico in it. Well, what I'm saying is they will try to get to 8 teams, and then they'll feel they have it. Because of your top 10 teams, you've got 8 of them. And it doesn't get much better than that. Because the 9th and the 10th
every year?
No. I don't think so.
Yes and no. No, because there will be changes. Yes, because what we found in our research is the consistency of the best teams from year to year is far better, far stronger in college, despite the fact that the players constantly turn over, than it is in the pros. Because in college, recruiting gives so much of an advantage to the best teams that it doesn't matter that they're constantly changing players. They constantly have the best players.
They're just reloading.
Whereas everything in the NFL is set up to even things up. Nothing in college is set up to help Duke catch up.
No. The only thing is set up
in football,
and yet they're both designed to make as much dollars as possible for their entity, and they're all taking advantage of the player in both the NCAA
well, we
and
know
in the
that,
NFL.
and that's a given. But
I disagree.
Tell me why. Hang on, why?
In the NFL, there are some things the union could do differently, but for the most part, those men are paid after their first couple of years. Once they get into the agency, they are paid market value, and when they're paid under market value, at least they're paid very well, more than $30,000 a year and a few books. And by the way, you better go wash some dishes if you want to buy snacks for yourself or your girlfriend.
Wow.
Okay, so to compare NFL players to college players is...
Well, no, but I think they're both being taken advantage of because of the knowledge of what we now know that the game does to your body and your brain.
These guys are like, I will happily trade 4 years of my brain
10 years of their brain
bashed in for $400,000 a year.
Or $4 million a year. Or whatever.
It blows me away that you got a guy in baseball
NFL players
$350 million over 10 years.
What?
Stanton's contract. Giancarlo Stanton's contract.
Right.
Okay, it just blows me away that they have guaranteed money in baseball, a sport that is on decline. You cannot tell me it is not. It is on decline.
That is better. Okay, so that's better. Marvin Miller.
No, I'm all about. I understand the players. Collective bargained it away.
Thank you, Marvin.
But of all the sports, it's the one thing that just it doesn't.
But they
make
still
sense
get plenty of money with the signing bonuses, and. They still get plenty of money.
Front-loaded
taken
contracts,
advantage of in so many
back-loaded
ways.
contracts. Jimmy, think about this. For years, the owners had it all their way.
They've got a minor league feeder system with the NCAA. It doesn't cost them a dime
right,
to
but
keep that going.
That doesn't hurt the pro players. That only hurts the college players.
Only hurts college players.
So, and how many? There's more college players playing football than the NFL
right
now.
I'm just saying. Yes. I don't think it's unfair. I don't think pro players are taken advantage of. They know what they're getting into.
I think to a degree.
At this point, they all know what they're getting into,
and they have
they're
fewer
all
practices.
getting paid well.
And you know what? And they've done a decent job, somewhat, of knocking down how many practices you can have contact and that sort of thing.
They're violating that every day, Jimmy. Don't listen to that. That's just rules. That's just sitting there. If Nick Saban decides he wants to have an extra practice, he's having one, and he'll take on whomever.
No. I'm talking about the NFL. Has
the NFL.
One contact practice a week.
Yep.
And that was bargained in. So they have some. I think they have the right ideas of what they want. They just can't get it done because of the money. I just think that's it. Hey, Aaron, I just really appreciate the fact that you're in the neighborhood. I really do, because I've enjoyed your company now twice.
We'll do it again preseason next year.
Yeah, sounds good. And anytime you have something to sell or whatever you want to do, come on.
Yeah, but you still didn't get his feel on national championship game tonight.
No, I'm going to say
our numbers. I'm the college football guys. I'm not the college football guy, but our numbers actually narrowly predict, very narrowly, like by a point or two. Ohio State upset.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, that'll be
we have
fun to
Ohio
watch.
State #1 and Oregon 2.
Okay.
That'll be fun to watch. That'll be fun. That'll really be fun. Aaron, again, thank you so much.
You will, man.
I'm going to get out of the way.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to come back.